Hello, Serge here from the backyard driving range. I don't know if you all realize this, it just dawned on me as I was taking my practice swing here especially. You do know that probably 90% plus of the world would be smacking those clubs every time they swung the club because of the, big wide, lift the foot, kick the knee, suck the club, take the big turn and get back in there. But no problem with the Serge swing, right? Butt on the wall, put your cheeks right up against the wall, and you shouldn't hit it with any club. But if you do the wall trick, just remember, it's only backswing. You never go to a follow through because you'll blow your forward elbow through the wall and into the wall, and that'll hurt you pretty hard. So it's only a backswing drill. So, off on that tangent. Things pop into my head a lot now and then. Okay, we got a good question that came in from Bob Renault, R-E-N-A-U-T today. So I think it's Bob Renault. Serge, I am having a consistent problem with having very high launch angles on my driver at 3-wood. Actually, most all clubs. I hit very high shots. For example, my driver is 8.5 degrees face and I hit it 17 to 19 degree launch angle, and I am losing 30 to 50 yards on the driver and 20 to 30 on most other clubs. Any idea on what might be causing consistently high launch angles with the PPGS? Absolutely. Okay. Got one of our new Serge swing hats that you can see on the website here, so I'll make like the white knight here and come into the rescue on this one. Let's start off by talking about woods, especially drivers. Now, as you all know, being on the site, I play with a 355 or a 360 head, depending on which model club I have. The one I have in my hand right now is 360. I believe that the bigger heads are not the way to go. I've even talked with some other experts in golf, and they say the same thing. And they tell you that you got a bigger sweet spot. There's no such thing as a bigger sweet spot. The sweet spot's even smaller than the little skinniness of that little rod here in my bag here. It's half that size. You go look up the term sweet spot or impact point or whatever. Baseball bats, tennis rackets, golf clubs. It's a little spot. Now they can move it around, but they can't make it bigger. That is a bona fide out and out fabrication, misrepresentation. All right? I've even heard companies say we have multiple sweet spots. There was one company out there a while back that said we have 9 sweet spots on our driver face. And then one time I heard him say the whole face is a sweet spot. Baloney. Okay? There's only one sweet spot, but what they can do is they can adjust the way they build the insides of the club, and they can move it around. And guess where they tend to put the sweet spots now, especially on the big drivers and especially on uneven fairway woods and hybrids. They put it up very high on the club face. Why? Because most golfers are coming out over the top. Now I'm going to put out my little plastic tee here, rubber tee from the driving range, and I'm going to put this puppy up in the air. So, because most golfers swing outside in, they're really steep. Okay? Now that's one of the things that blows my mind when I watch the golf tournaments, and they're always talking about vertical swingers being too steep. But when we swing up and we bump, our club's actually coming down slightly to the inside and getting back on the line, and we're actually, from this point to this point, almost dead straight on the same line we took it away on. But if you're a rotational swinger and you got back here and you spin your body out and you're coming down outside way long than us. I mean, yeah, they're flatter going back, but they're more vertical and actually outside vertical. They're coming down beyond vertical, because they would be vertical. They're coming down from out here. We're still coming down slightly under that. So who's more vertical? Just remember, one of the laws of physics is for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. So whatever I'm coming up, I should have slightly opposite. All right? And then we get right back down it. I got the pictures, I can prove all of this. All right? I got the biomechanical studies that prove it. Okay? What I go up on, when I bump, it comes down a little bit flatter, almost like a slight little loop, but you hardly see it because I'm fighting it to not do it. But right about once I get here and approaching the ball, my track, the track that that laid off with, they got computers that can draw those tracks now. My track that I laid off, my club is directly on that track. It's like 2 sheets of paper laying right on top of each other. It's that tight. That's the secret to hitting the ball straight. But where are they? Anytime you're rotational, you're deep, you're coming back down outside. And so when you're steep, especially coming back, we're coming in slightly inside, a little bit flatter than 12 down to here, but they're coming out this way, and coming down from the outside. Every action is equal and opposite reaction. So why did I get in on this physics? Because it's playing into what to answer this question about why is this launch angle so high. 8.5 driver, very low. You have to be halfway powerful player to be able to swing that much angle and get it. But what do? Because people are coming outside in and too steep, they are tending to hit the ball high on the club face. How many golfers do you see sky marks on the club face? Go to any club fitter, go to any store that's got demo clubs, and what do? They usually have tape across the top because they know people are going to sky it like crazy. That sky mark, any sky marks on any golf club, especially woods and 3-woods, and especially drivers, is going to be what? This guy is outside in, chopping down on the ball. All right, you never see sky marks on my clubs. That's why I don't let anybody ever hit my driver, because I don't trust that anybody could come down a little too steep and put a sky mark, because that is the sign of an outside in swing. That's the sign of a person who is got over the top moving all over the ball. It's not the sign of a person coming in from low from the inside and up. So because it's on the top, now here's what's happening with you, I think. Reading through the lines, 8.5 degree driver, 17 to 19 degrees. You've been on a launch angle, okay? Well, in his heyday in college, DJ swung a 6.5 driver, 6.5 degrees, and still launched at 17, 18. They told him back then, after a while in the early 2000s, that was too high a launch angle. They wanted it down to 14, 15. I want his launch angle up. Why? A good launch angle where the ball is hit and penetrating and boring through the air, penetrating, is going to hold its line, it's going to hit, but it's going to have proper spin that it's going to hit and still run out on average hard fairways. All right? I think what's happening to you is, for whatever reason, even though you got an 8.5, you got to be coming down a little too steep. You with the sweet spot up here, even when you hit a dead sweet spot shot up here, it's way up high in the club face. Heck, I want to have to even imply, have you popped any up here? Have you got any sky marks? If you do, then I think this is absolutely proof of it. But even still, if you get a nice clean black face and you see, and you've never put a sky mark on the top, but you see a lot of your impacts when you hit them good up here, a little high on the club face, then you know you're at least getting your sweet spot's probably up there. But the point is even if you're hitting it there and you're coming down, you're coming from high to low, and you're hitting the ball like this, and the ball is rolling up the face a little bit from when it hits and rolls up, and it's getting backspin. So if you've got any kind of dead into you, or tailing wind into like this, and your ball is has backspin, any kind of wind that hits it, it's going to, like, so to speak, kite it up into the air, which now means it's going more that way rather than that way. It's not penetrating anymore. It's sort of like, I call it fluffernutting up into the air, right? Like you sit down here and you throw grass up in the air and the wind's blowing, it's going, all right? And so that could be the issue. Now, I know for a fact that even these smaller heads, the sweet spots have been put up higher than I would prefer them to be, okay? So when I tend to tee the ball up high and I swing up and I catch them up here, what do I get? My ball goes too high. It doesn't have backspin, but it goes too high, or really in many cases, if I do hit it good, it goes okay. I just reverse my thought process here. If I swing up just a little bit too much and I catch the ball a little more in the center of the face, right in the dead center, or a little bit below, which we would call thin, if it gets below center, my ball's not going to go lower, and it's not going to go as far because it's going to hit the ground sooner, and ground resistance is going to slow a ball down faster than air resistance will, okay? So what do? Most of the time, when I really, really want to hit I play my best that I take big tees, I take them in the ground, but most of the time now I'm trying to play with shorter tees. So that normally I can tee this ball up, I can hit a ball if it's teed up here. But I'm teeing them up where the ball would be, about the old days, like they said, half a club over the ball. So that way it's going to keep me, even though I'm swinging up, I'm staying at the ball a little bit longer and through, and hitting it, making sure I get it here, up here, where the sweet spot is, not swing up too fast, because again, the higher the ball is up on the tee, the easier it is for me to swing up, and therefore I hit it a little bit low. So I've got the exact opposite problem that I think I'm talking to you about right here. Okay? Bob, and that is, I think, a problem with a lot of folks, because I mean, when I go to golf schools, I just see drivers that are all just chewed up. If they're black, they got more scuff marks and white marks all over the top of the ball. But in these kind of faces today, if you got these nice shiny faces like this, you can see impacts. I mean, I actually either spit on my club and wipe it off, whatever, and I can wipe off those imprints off the ball. So in some cases, it's almost like we got built-in impact tape on them. All right, start checking that out. So if it's high, I think that's what it is. And even with the irons now, if you got an iron where you can cover the ball, which will basically be about 8 iron down, right? 7 irons, we have a smaller type hosel in here, which means the top from top to bottom is less. Once you get to the bigger hosels, all the way down to where like you're getting into wedges and stuff, look at how big that face is there. If you can get that club on top of a ball and you come in here and de-loft it too much, you can squeeze the ball into the ground squeezes it, and it'll spin the ball up with too much backspin. And again, if you're into the wind, it'll just pop it up in the air, fluff and nutter it, and it comes crashing down. It's like hitting a wall. So I think that could even still be the problem with the irons. But you'll be hitting an iron. A lot of times we love those because they feel so solid. But what you've done is pinched it, and you've actually created the ground hitting you a flyer, as just like if you had the ball up in the rough and you get the grass between the ball and the club, and the ball just shoots off with no spin and just rockets. That's the ultimate flyer. Okay, but as far as the woods go, that is a common theme that I see all the time. And so if you got the marks on the ball, I am definitely talking to you on the club, excuse me, at the top. But Bob, you need to start checking out your impact areas. And I'm going to believe you're hitting it way too high in the ball, and you're probably coming down, and at the time being steep. If you ever hit the ground, or your tees are bending forward too much, mostly my tees are always stay straight or pop out of the ground because I stick them in so little. But if your tees are really tilting forward, then that means your club is descending coming into the ball. We don't want to descend. We want to have an ascending club. Okay, and that's where I say my problem is, because if I'm ascending a little too much and my sweet spot's up here and I'm hitting it even in the center of the club, I've missed the sweet spot, I've swung under it. In my case, because I'm coming up, the ball will come off the club going down lower, and therefore I'm hitting the ground sooner. And so that's why, as I said, I've gone to teeing them up lower with drivers when I really want to make sure I get that good launch angle. Now the only time I'll really tee high is when I really want to put one up in the air, downwind. I want to get the ball up into into the wind stream up there, and the jet stream. So I'm going to get in here, get preloaded heavy right, and really swing up and put it in the air because the wind is at my back. I want it riding the wind, not keeping it low into the wind. Okay? So I think it's your path. I think you're too steep. Might even be outside in. But just look at your face, sky marks, and where the ball imprints are in your club. If you've got a shiny face, you can see it, and I think that'll give you the answer. All right. So the answer is, if you got that stuff, you got to get preloaded heavy right, stay behind impact, and make sure now instead of swinging down, you're swinging up, and your tee will tell you that. Okay. That's it for the search for today, and I'll be talking with you all soon.